I'm going to go ahead and preheat this pipe and get ready to start making a blue spiraled cane roll up vase. I have my canes in the oven behind me. We'll be rolling them up right on the outside of a second gather of clear that I'll put together now. Once we get them rolled up, we're going to spiral them and wigwag them a little bit. Have some fun moving the lines around before we gather more glass and blow it out to full size. First step is to take my first gather, shape it up a little bit by just angling down and encourage the glass to come off the end of the iron. Start down nice and low, keeping the glass kind of fat and wide back towards my pipe. So when I true it up nice and steady, I'll have a nice hot tip. I'm going to hold it up, let it sit back towards me quite a bit. When I blow, I'll blow hard enough to make sure the bubble hits the tip so that I'll be able to stretch the bubble down. When I come back over here, you'll see I have a nice thick side wall and a bubble that's blown evenly into the tip. I'll measure up and see about how much glass I need to get. I need to get about that much more glass on the outside. And now that it's cooled down and I'm down to my nice, very dull red glow, we'll go take another gather out of the furnace. So I'm doing a lot of slow turns while I'm in the furnace here. And that's allowing the bulk of the glass that I just gathered to run back off, stripping it off in the furnace. And when I come out, we'll take a measurement against the calipers. That looks good. So now there's no real need to reshape it or anything. We're just going to come over here, go into our blue oven. This can be the tricky part. We try to be as even as we can from side to side. We're going to touch down and roll. And make sure we fill in fully with an even application. Still sit down at the bench and fine tune them a little bit. They don't seem to need much work, but I am going to have a seat. Just take a look at how they rolled up. See, my core bubble is still pretty warm. It did heat up from that gather. That's okay. We just kind of maintain it. Keep everything in line together. Flush it down and allow all the temperature to start balancing out. And do a series of marvering here to bring the temperature together. You notice by leaning into the tip, I can bring the tips together, lay them down on the bubble, and then just by being on the table, it cools it in place. So I'm going to pluck it longer, drawing out the usable area of the glass here. You see all those frayed edges, those are going to get lopped off. They really just don't matter. Let me get rid of this. I'll have another section to twist. There we go. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Now I'm going to get it to the point where it just starts to twist on its own while I'm in the heat. You might even see the line starting already here. That's good. When I come back, get in the bench, I'm just going to gently hold and drag. We'll get a nice gentle spiral. It doesn't go too tight at the bottom. I can still chew off a little bit at the bottom if I want to. That'll be totally fine. Go ahead and get that off of there. Now, this is when I can start superheating one area and make it like a little midsection wigwag. I'm going to build up a real specific line of heat right in here. And then I'm gonna super, like, hyper twist it again. But it's only gonna twist right there. Get a nice little effect. Now watch as I do this. I'm just gonna grab it down here and spin the same direction again, but extra tight. I'm keeping it packed nice and steady, keeping it short. Now we have a gentle spiral with a hyper spiral right in the middle. We're going to smooth out the texture, then balance out the heat, chew off the end. They got a little gnarly down there, and that's totally fine. That's just, you know, part of the loss that comes into making the pattern. So just by staying on here evenly, I'm bringing that hot spot back into range with the rest of it. Now it's much more evenly heated. One more little puff. You see my torch over here, that's what I was using to spot heat the middle here, but this should show up nicely now. I'm going to give it time to cool, get it back down to about 1,000 degrees again, so I can go back in the furnace in the middle of the shop, gather up more clear. You see I'm back to the very dull red glow over here. Let's give you a better shot. So that gives me a good sign that I'm able to go back into the clear glass and gather up more and make sure I have time to get in and out of that furnace without this bubble getting too hot in a weird way potentially and collapsing or something like that. If I'm going to be adding a lot more hot glass on the outside, this bubble needs to be able to maintain itself until I can be ready to blow it out. Now we'll come on over here. Into the chamber, gathering up and slowing down my turn to let a lot of it run off in the furnace. When I come out, I'll do another slight strip off on the table here. You see it runs off of there pretty quickly when it's very hot like that. And then it will cast off when I'm ready. And I will just sit down and maintain that new, much more manageable layer of clear around the color layer. Use a wet newspaper sometimes, use a wooden tool called a block sometimes. But you can see that internal bubble, the cane bubble, is already starting to heat up. By the time I got back here, it was starting to move a little bit. So it's warm, but it's not hot enough. So I'm going to come back over to the furnace here, reheat the whole thing evenly together. That way when I come out, I should be able to shape it with the newspaper again, blow it out a little bit. So now you can see just from being in the heat, it really balanced out the temperature quite a bit more. Has a much more even glow and even movement throughout. So I'll recool the tip and then let it stretch. And I'll recool the tip, making sure that this area doesn't want to blow out too soon, and stretch again. Every now and then you'll see me reach back and I have to dunk my paper in the water just to soak it up with some water and keep it nice and cool. That newspaper kind of rides on a layer of steam that goes between the glass and the paper. So you always have to keep it wet. And again, I spend all my time heating up the entire bit of glass. When I come back out, I'll have a cooler foot. I'll be ready to start blowing it out and shaping the rest of the piece. Again, you see how very evenly it's moving, very evenly heated now. I'll go back and recool the tip again. And I'm just going to hang it and blow gently. You see my sidewall starts to blow out more than the bottom does. Again, I use the paper to freeze the bottom on center with a nice extra little point of weight down there. And the next heat, I'm going to come back and I'm going to start shaping, working on the top here. Now for this heat, I'm going to need to add on my blow hose because I'm going to be squeezing in a constriction into the glass that's going to help me separate the pipe from the glass. As long as I have some air pressure blowing from inside the bubble, it probably won't collapse as I'm squeezing against it. I'm going to recool the bottom. And I'm going to take my jacks and go up here and blow very gently while I squeeze and move to the right. So I was lightly inflating this area while I was squeezing and constricting this area up here. Heating the whole thing again. See where the heat is? Right up at the neck. Now watch how far I'm able to stretch it. I'm going to blow and pull. This is actually going to be the break off right here. So I'll tighten this down a little extra, but you can start seeing the proportions of the piece showing up pretty nicely. This neck is going to get shrunk down even more once it's on the punny, but I don't need that for now. I need a nice stable surface here. So I'm going to keep my blow hose attached while I do this, but it's going to take a few heats of me heating certain areas of the piece and then stretching, and then come right back to the heat and then stretch and then heat and stretch. And this whole bottom half is going to elongate into more of an olive kind of a shape, or tall, stretched out, maybe a missile shape. Okay. Now I'm going to spend some more time in the bench shaping. Sorry I wasn't chatting much. I was just holding a slight air pressure in there with my blow hose the whole time while I was papering that to keep a nice volume in the piece, and while I was paddling. Now you can see it's starting to cool down to the point where it needs to get back into heat. So I'll just stay in here for a bit and then right back out, get away from the heat. It's not really heating that I'm trying to do. It's more of a heat treatment that I'm giving the glass. And then right back out and away. As soon as I feel that there might be any kind of movement in the glass, I get out of there. And I'm going to go right back in again. And just by doing this, I'm making sure that the whole piece has been recently evenly heated together, and that will have a lot of strength in the piece. I'm going to let this piece hang now. It's going to hang out right there and stay cool while I go get a punty ready. Honey is just a little tiny dot of glass on the end of this solid iron. And I really don't need to get too much. I really just want like a film of glass off the end. So I'm going to hold it up, let the glass run back around the side. You'll see when I marver, peel it back. And just give myself a nice thin dome of glass off the end. And we'll take this back and flash the piece. Now, this is going to be a little bit more of the choreography while I'm doing this because I need to keep the vessel nice and warm but not moving around. And then I need to keep my punty nice and warm and soft enough to be tacky and stick to the bottom of my other vessel. I'll grab my tweezers and hold on so I can stick my punty on there. And you can see from back there that the punty is a much warmer attachment than what I have up here attached to the blowpipe. So already it's going to be a stronger point of attachment even though it's smaller. But just to re-weaken this area, I'm going to use a little bit of water, just dripping all the way around this jack line. All I have to do is set it on the rail, send a little vibration, and it breaks right where the water was. And now I can reheat the piece by going all the way in, and you'll notice I'm holding it from the opposite end now. So I have ability to reheat the neck and the lip. And now you see how much heat I've had a chance to soak into the lip. I'm going to go ahead and draw it out with the tweezers first. Ooh, there's a lot of wax on my tweezers. That's not supposed to be like that. There we go. I'm going to go back to the heat, reheat this, and we'll use the shears to trim it down. And now you see just staying back here, I'm letting the piece cool while the lip soaks up all the heat that's in there right now. When I come back, it'll be very easy to trim just the lip because it'll be the most softened up area. First, I'll just take some jacks inside, widening it a little bit, take my shears, line them up, and start going for it. And get done before the glass gets too cold. You see already it gets much more solid pretty quickly. It's got a little more fine crafting to do. We don't just stop because we got it trimmed, we make it right. So first step is to cool down that lip. And if I can cool it while I'm narrowing it, that's not too bad either. And I'm going to continue to come out and cool the neck, heat the shoulder, heat. Come out, cool the neck, heat the shoulder, heat. And you'll see why. So I come out, I cool the neck, cool the lip, heat the shoulder. Again, you'll see me have to cool the neck down before maybe I'm able to blow it out. If not this time, then next time. Looks like it might be this time. Cool the inside of the neck. Now I'm going to blow and see the shoulder blow out. And now make sure everything's straightened out. See that big difference? I'm going to close up the doors and concentrate the heat right on the lip that I was just torching. When I come out, I want to actually have to be kind of aggressive in order to flare it out, flip it outward. See, I got a nice heat in there. I'll paddle it and start flaring, just to force it outward. And now I can always tighten it in a little more if I need to. But you can't really tighten it if you haven't flared the underside or the lip first. I like to be a little more exaggerated with the way that I have my curves set in there. It's one thing to just heat it and open it. It's another thing to take the time and make it look good. Figure out your proportions as you go. See, I can tighten that down. Flare it very gently as I pull. See? Each time it gets a little cleaner. So do a couple flashes to make sure that the whole wall thickness has been recently evenly heated. Just a bit of movement into the piece, just the slightest bit, and then I'm done. Just a couple dots of water. We'll hang it straight up and down, tap it, sending that vibration down, and bonk it right off of there. Come on, let go. There we go. Take a torch and fire polish that sharp edge. This is an oxypropane torch that we use to superheat a small area. In this case, all that sharp glass that was broken off there is now smoothed out and rounded out. And now we get it ready to go into the oven. This one goes back here. The oven is sitting right at 970 right now. Put it in there, let it get back up to temperature, and slowly program it to cool down overnight tonight.